What up, man? It's your boy King Moses live from the porch, man. And listen, man, I'm sorry, man. Life been life and all that stuff, man. But man, it's been a minute since I've been on the porch. I've been able to say a little bit of stuff here and there when I seen it. I said I was gonna get back to it and really go in depth as far as some of the stuff I had to say on the porch. But like I said, life be lifing. But I had to make time for this one, man. And I'm gonna start off with something that came across my porch. It came across a while ago, and I wanted to really sit down and like delve into this and break this down in full, man, because it's um it's an interesting story, and this is something that I've kind of touched on before, um, but I wanted to really go in deep in with it. You know what I mean? With the conversation. So we got tricks, tricking, which I despise, but I sort of respect based off of the ways that it could be done. It's never it's nothing that I would ever do, but I could respect parts of it and understand why the it is the way it is specifically now in this era, this trick baby era. It's what it is. So there's parts of it I can respect. A lot of it I don't agree with and don't respect, but I understand. Then we got the pimping, player, Mac era, or the mindset, which I grew up on, which I guess inspired or was inspired by in some form of fashion. Is it valid nowadays? Can you still be that way? And then we got to break down the parts of what is what, because sometimes people, jumble up all those words together. They're not the same. They have similar attributes, but they're not the same. So if somebody sees a dude with a lot of girls, they call him a pimp, or he pimping. You driving a nice car, oh, he pimping. That's not the case. That's just been the commercialized term but that's not it. Back in the day, in the 70s and the 80s, whatever, the main term was a Mac. That was the slang back then, right? Or you was macking, which is more of a verb than a noun, like, for example. And I'll break down each part of that, of the definitions of all that. I'm going to define the definition of a pimp, a Mac, a player, a trick, and a John. Because all this stuff is related in this underworld, this mindset or lifestyle. But back in the days in the 70s and 80s, like Mac was more of the thing. Like a pimp is pretty clear on what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But people confuse the other attributes of the game to pimping. You've also heard the term player. That's been more like, 80s, 90s type thing. Pimping, they've always had the players ball, for example. I don't know what year it was. I think it was in the 70s, right? But that term player was more of late 80s, early 90s thing where it really started, jumping off or whatever, right? And less of the term Mac and pimp was used per se. And if they did use the word pimp, it was more paying homage to the original, job description that was established back in the day. So let me start off and just break down each portion, right, of what is what, and then give you my take on the state of affairs now and what it is from my opinion. So a pimp, clear definition based off of me. I'm not no expert. I've dibbled and dabbled in pimping and macking and being a player, all that. I'm on the porch now, right? You know what I mean? Most would call that, in the game, called being a square. Squares, you ain't into nothing or whatever. You just, law-abiding citizen. You ain't, you just living right, doing the right thing or whatever, honestly, as you should. Now when you start growing up or whatever, and you don't know no better, or you just kind of just figuring out how the world is and all that, you might have strived to be a square, because I have no problem with being a square. It's cool as shit. You feel what I'm saying? But sometimes life doesn't afford you the path to be a square. Sometimes you got to do some things or whatever, you know what I mean, to get to a square path. To be honest, that's what I call on the porch. Being the squares, being on the porch. So you chilling, you ain't got to worry about none of this nonsense or whatever that's out here in these streets or whatever. And then the world changing, the rules changing, all this stuff. You know what I mean? You live by your own rules. You ain't judged by nobody, whatever. And the ones that's judging you, they living in their own life. That's fine. Or they're striving to be like you. So a pimp, based off of what I've seen and know, a pimp makes money off prostituting women. Now you heard, when we heard these terms in like the entertainment industry, they pimping the artists. You feel what I'm saying? So it's an act of getting money out of somebody. But when we talk about the game, it's for prostitution. So a pimp could, we can't even say that he would. Technically he could, but like he could get money out of a woman and she just give it to him just because she like him. But that's not pimping. The actual art of pimping, or the job description of pimp, is to prostitute a woman, get money out of a woman based off of prostitution. Sex work, more often than not. And the traditional way, how it used to be, because of the way of the world, how it was then, was sex work on the street. They had to walk the blade. The blade is on the street. People will pull up or whatever, or they work at a sex house or whatever the case may be. All that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it was. Now, I could be wrong or whatever, but if a woman was like, I'm not going to sell my body or have sex with a man to make money, and let's say she was a stripper, she ain't turning no tricks, she just dancing, get naked, getting money, and she gives it back to that person that is a pimp, he's just getting money out of her, but she's not doing it, she's not getting the money from prostitution. He's just getting money out of her. Now that could be macking. You could consider that macking. I'll get to that in a second. But the general outlook of pimping is a man or a person making money off of a woman that is prostituting on the street. That's basically what it was, how it was. Now, the definition of a Mac is basically convincing someone to do something for you or your pleasure. So, having a conversation, getting a girl's number, that's macking. Talking to a girl, convincing her to have a threesome, that's macking. Or convincing her to pimp or to be pimped, that is macking. So you are spitting game to the woman, telling her what she need to hear to get her to do what you want her to do for you. Whatever that is. That's all that is. Now, a Mac, you could be a pimp and then you can be a Mac. But you could also be a Mac and not a pimp. So again, your mindset could be just, man, I just want to get girls. I want to convince girls to have threesomes with me. I ain't caring about getting the money, because the pimp is all about the money. I don't care about getting no money out of it. I just want the pleasure of having threesomes with women. You are going to spit your game, say stuff, whatever, to convince her to do that. Now, you also heard the term dirty macking, where you've had situations where dudes will throw under the other dudes under the bus to get the woman. They want to take another guy's woman. It's stuff like that. But there's the general mindset of what that is, right? There's good macking, bad macking, good pimping, bad pimping. You also got, for instance, you could be a pimp and not be a Mac. You got gorilla pimps out here. You got motherfuckers snatching girls up or whatever. That's why they got the human trafficking shit out here nowadays, which has messed up the game. And I'll get into that in a second. And I've already talked about it, but you could be a pimp and not be a Mac or a player. You could just be, all right, well, I'm just getting money out of women, and that's it. I don't got to spit no game. You know, this is what it is. It's a sad part about it. And then you got a player, someone that's pretty much smooth, charismatic, ladies' man. You know, again, macking is more of a verb than a noun, but you can be a Mac based off of just how you are, because all these overlap with each other. A player could be a pimp or a Mac. But a player could also just be on his own, where it's just like, I don't need to do a lot of convincing. I'm just me. I don't need to do a lot of sweet talking. I'm going to stand on business or whatever, whatever. And girls just gravitate to me. You get what I'm saying? I got a lot of girls. Now, that's left up to the interpretation of how you got them. It could be a situation where you wine and dine them. A lot of dudes look down on that. I do. You could be a dude that loaf with a lot of girls, just laying out and anti-fucking, or I'm going to lay around and be patient, wait around. If it take me 2 months, 3 months to be Mr. Nice Guy to get the draws, then that's what I'm going to do. Which technically is macking or whatever. You're not even really spitting the game. It's just like you already got in your mind, like, this is what I'm going to do. But that's pretty much the definition of a player. So those are those three attributes and descriptions of a pimp, a Mac, and a player. You can be all three, and you could also be one individual standout. You can have attributes. They all, have their own attributes. But you can be your own standalone or have a combination of all those. Now, what is the definition of tricking and a John? Because those are very important. That's what we'll go into what I'll break down versus the pimping, the macking, and the player versus the tricking and the Johns. A trick, very much, well, let's start off with John. A John, pretty much simple. It's kind of cut and dry like a pimp. That's like an old word that they used to use back in the day, whatever. They use it sometimes or whatever. Again, just, whatever. But a John is a client of a sex worker. That's basically it. So those will be the ones that will be pulling up, buying the girls or whatever, They're a client of a sex worker. Point blank, period. That's basically all that is. All right. Then you got a trick, which technically is a John. But you could also be a trick in other ways outside of being a client of a sex worker. Obviously, if you paying for bills for a girl that you ain't having sex with, you buying a bunch of drinks on a girl that's not interested in you, spending money, unnecessary, a lot of money on a woman that you ain't having sex with, or a woman that you having sex with or whatever that's not a sex worker per se. That's tricking. So a prostitute back in the day, they would call it turning a trick, right? Because that's just what it is, right? They're tricking the man into feeling that they like them. Okay? And in exchange, they're getting money for it. That's just what it is. But again, the term trick has evolved and surpassed because, again, people didn't look at dudes back in the 70s and 80s and 90s like, oh, you buying drinks for this girl that don't know you or don't like you, you're a trick. Or you spending money on a woman that you ain't having sex with, you're a trick. Times were different back then. Okay? A lot of people needed that. First of all, the influx of money back then was not high. So men weren't doing that like that. And two, people really needed each other back then. So like the way that people, especially men and women, look at stuff in 2025 is way different than people looking at stuff back in 1985 or 1995. Better yet, 2005. Money changed a lot of things. So we've already got definitions of all these characteristics. Now again, I consider myself more of a player because that's just how it was. Like I would back then, I would love to be just like, in love and in a relationship and just all that stuff or whatever. But life just showed me differently. I always held out hoping, that one day I will find love and not have to worry about being in the game. But sometimes you forced into it or whatever, and you got to adjust, or otherwise you will get taken advantage of. That's just simple and plain. So I was not really interested in the taking advantage of. I just identified what I wanted to do and stood my values and all that, and that's what it was. So I wasn't focused or interested in my main value is making money off women. That wasn't for me. My main value wasn't on, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna lie to women just to get in their drawers. Now there's a difference between a lie like that and an honest lie. But overall, I wasn't lying. Oh, I ain't got no girlfriend. I do got a girlfriend, and I'm actively hiding and doing all this stuff and spending money on going on a hotel. So no, that was not my thing. I'd rather at that point break up with the girl, whatever, so I could be single, so I could go do what I do. You know what I'm saying? But that was my values. But at the end of the day, I always would like to see dudes be players. Because it's I think that's the most, honestly, the most valued out of the three to me, because that can translate to a lot of things in life. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could even still be a player or have those attributes of a player if you do end up meeting somebody that you fall in love with. You get what I'm saying? The macking and the pimping, that don't really translate over long term. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could be a smooth, charismatic person. You get what I'm saying? That those attributes just hold stronger than, and you'll less likely be taken advantage of or played or taken advantage of by a woman if you have those attributes, in my opinion. Nowadays, dudes have been raised by single mothers. There hasn't been any game that's passed on to these youngins or whatever, and they're learning a lot of shit on the fly. Now, there's two things that I wanted to mention that have also affected the reason why the world is the way it is right now, as far as how pimping is dead or very much out of style, outdated, and people are not looking up to being a player. They're more looking up to being a trick. And that is the new pimp, or that's the new player, which is sad. But that's just the way it is. So there's two things that I wanted to highlight. Obviously, one thing that got rid of the pimping or drastically declined it was the human trafficking law that was passed in 2000. Back in the days, you got locked up for pimping, you get a pandering charge, whatever, da. It wasn't no, I ain't gonna say crazy time, whatever, but what you can probably get like 10 years max for that or whatever, some shit like that. Human trafficking, you're gonna get 20, at least 20, more than that. So why the risk is so high now to be a pimp, and the reward and the what you get back doesn't justify the risk. It was easier to be a pimp back then because, one, again, because the laws, and two, because of technology. There was no direct to consumer back in 1993. If you wanted to get some pussy from a sex worker, you had to go out on the street, go on the tracks and the blades and go get them. And you would risk the embarrassment of getting caught by the police and shamed or whatever. Because again, it was a shame to be a trick. It was a shame to be that person or whatever, paying for pussy. How dare you? What's wrong with you? Da da da. Wasn't even getting no jail time like that. They'll get, put on the pictures of the newspaper. They got to go back to their wives or their girlfriends or whatever. No, they got busted. Their families know whatever. And it was more the shame aspect. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you going to jail for 5 years for buying some pussy. Even women that is prostitutes or whatever, they don't even get that much time. They wasn't getting that much time like that because they wanted to get rid of the pimping. So they would always try to push to get the Johns or the tricks. I mean, the Johns and tricks in the prostitutes to snitch on the pimps to bring them down. So you always ran that risk of that in the game, but it is what it is. Now it's like you run that same risk getting snitched on, and the stakes is higher if you get caught. Why would you want to do that? And the money that the pimps is getting is drastically increased. No matter what they say, they put up a performance, they gotta look the part and all that stuff. They not getting it like that no more. Everything is taken over with the technology. Why would I need to go through a pimp to hook me up with some girls, some Spanish girls, right? And he gonna facilitate gathering up the girls for me, whatever, and charging me, whatever, when I can go online on OnlyFans and find them. Or I could go on a flight, which I can book myself, and go to Colombia, Dominican Republic. All the information is out there on where to go. All this stuff, everything is out there. So what do you need the pimp for at this point? That stuff is outdated. That's just like, you don't need a travel agent right now. You don't need a travel agent anymore to book a flight or go on a vacation. You can do it yourself. The information is out there. YouTube videos on all the stuff, all the information. You know where to go. Oh, if I go to Colombia, this is where the girls are going to be because I found it on YouTube. I've seen other people go, like, it's all there. The access to information has eliminated the pimp. The federal government has eliminated the pimp. So you got a lot of these dudes that was pimping in the 80s, 90s, and all that, still trying to hold on to nostalgia. Their time has passed, sadly. And we could admire what you did or whatever, and the look and all that stuff, whatever, but that time has passed. It's gone. And I would not suggest any young man to be a pimp or to pimp because it ain't worth it. Can't do it. That time has passed. Now, I came across this video called The Pimp versus the Trick, and this is the most eye-opening and entertaining interview that I've seen in a long time. And I will post a link in the bio and all that stuff, whatever, so you can see the whole video. The video was an hour and 31 minutes. But I wanted to just kind of briefly go over some points on that or whatever, and just highlight and show like how things have changed. I'm gonna go to some timestamps or whatever. So just bear with me and we just gonna let it rock out.
Let me ask, which one of these games is illegal? Like the pimp versus the trick. Which one is it? Is it a bit illegal? Pimp is illegal.
We go to jail. He get a get out of jail pass.
But don't they arrest Johns?
Yeah, they arrest him too, but that's very rare.
Okay.
But see, we don't do it that way. You see what I'm
So
saying?
you don't consider yourself a John?
Nah, I ain't no John. I'm a trick. I ain't no John.
You ain't gonna pull up looking for it.
Nah, I ain't looking for it.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it. I ain't gotta go look.
And see, they just spoke to it right then and there. Like, there's no need really to be pulling up or whatever. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. You could just go on OnlyFans or whatever these sites is or whatever, and you could just find them, and that's it. You get what I'm saying? Now, again, you got some stuff or whatever where, it got the ones that be trying to set people up or whatever, but that's on them. But you don't have, it's not no, oh yeah, like, man, it's too much tricking in the world because the money's coming into somebody. As long as the black man who was the pimp ain't getting the money and the money is going directly to somebody else that's going to give it to eventually the man, one way or another. That's all that matters is they gonna keep the party going. It don't matter. And it's the truth. Let me go ahead forward whatever to this other timestamp that I seen or whatever that was crazy and just like a good highlighted point. But yeah, man, this right here is just telling you how the way the world has changed or whatever. And as much as people don't like tricks and bad mouth or whatever, they got it right now.
What Cash Out was made for tricking. That's what Cash Out for tricking.
Oh man.
For real?
Yes, that's what it was made for. Then it got global.
What's the motion of?
And he don't even know. And see, that's how you could tell they just outdated or whatever and just holding nostalgia or whatever. Like, how do you not know that or whatever? And even if it wasn't true, whatever, you could tell or see why Cash App is so essential to tricking and all this stuff or whatever. It's cutting out a lot of the middleman, cutting out dudes like that. Like, nobody's pulling up getting money out the ATM like that or whatever. We could do it electronically. Now, in strip clubs and all that stuff or whatever, they'll do that. But, I mean, Cash App, especially the black niggas, is king.
Sit on the Cash App.
I got a what's name on
You
it.
hit your limit like every day.
Now, see, I'm going to fast forward it again or whatever. So then they start comparing how much he has sent out. And then Pimp and Ken tried to look and show him how much he's been getting. And it ain't even been comparable as far as how much the trick is sent out to how much Pimp and Ken, quote unquote, so-called, has received from a woman. So he said he sent out 10,000. Ain't no woman in this day and age giving Pimp and Ken no $10,000. As much as he want to cap and all that, whatever, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And he's real outdated, whatever. And I don't know. Yeah.
See,
He ain't never did it before.
see, he the past.
Nah, he ain't never sent no money before.
And he's absolutely right, sad to say. And the future is, again, don't fully agree with it, but he ain't lying.
He like, I ain't never sent. I ain't never pressed in.
He out of date.
I'm gonna find
See,
out.
the new trick is where it's at. We didn't know who got the women. I got all the women.
How happy were you, Will, when they invented Cash App? How happy were you, like,
What?
when they invented Cash App?
You could just automatically.
I loved it.
Niggas.
I loved it.
Yeah, easy access or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, man, like, unfortunately, a lot of dudes are losing a lot of game because they're relying so much on the technology. I think it's good to have both, but if you rely so much on the technology, don't got no game and just all that, and just, I don't know.
Money in a while, nigga. You ain't no real pimp.
No, I just want to show you
I
something.
went straight to mine to show you I'm tricking off the muscle.
Okay.
No hesitation. No hesitation. No
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
Touch her name.
Okay.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
He teaching them how to use technology. If a woman see that or whatever, nowadays, whatever, they already know that they can get over on you. You're out of date, out of touch. And he'd say he ain't no real pimp. He ain't no more, because you can't do it no more.
It's like fail.
Wait, I gotta go. But you see that though, right?
Yeah, I ain't seen nothing.
Hold on. Watch this,
Your
Will.
name should be Chief Empty Poem.
Watch this, though, Will. Watch this.
Because your poem
Will,
failed.
look at that.
That means you sent her some money.
No, that don't mean you send no money.
And honestly, a lot of pimps don't want to talk about it or whatever, but they front a lot. They'll say, oh, well, we getting all the money from the women or whatever. They ain't always true. Or we ain't paying them no money, whatever. You paid something to get them outfits and do all that stuff and take it. Like, you got the money from somewhere, whatever. So don't make it seem like you 100% getting all the money from the women and you're not outputting anything, investing in them at all. They don't tell that story. Well, they don't put that out there like that.
Touch a name like this.
Huh? I'm gonna try to figure out what my report is.
Why your report don't put her like mine?
I don't know. I ain't never seen this shit.
You ain't no real pimp.
Hey, this man ain't never sent no money to him. He don't know how.
Yeah.
Mine's cool right up, man.
Hey, number thousands, man.
He's like, I know hit the ching-ching.
Receive, baby, thousands. Every 1,500, everything that's received. This 2,800 is always received, baby. Everything's received. Everything's received.
1,500, 2,800. So again, you're doing all this work. Got to be with the girl a lot. You know what I mean? You got to do a lot of work. Pimping is not easy. And you doing all that to get 2,800? And who knows how, like, he ain't getting that per day. I don't know when, how often, but for all this work that he's doing, realistically, nowadays, you better off doing something else. You better off being a manager, and I ain't gonna give too much of the game, but you're better off being a manager of somebody that does OnlyFans online or is a stripper in the strip club to watch out for, make sure that she good, hold her down, be her manager, and collect a percentage. You get more time back. You're still getting a cut. You're still getting paid. And you can still be able to mac and be a player and have game and still have that status, but not have to worry about the risk of going to jail or getting snitched on or facing 20 years and saying, oh, well, because he got on my nerves, I'm going to tell the police that he kidnapped me and he got me human trafficking. And a lot of them pimps or whatever that they don't like to talk about either is Chester molesters. Getting them girls off the street or whatever that ain't of age, whatever, all that. And as much as them dudes say that they denounce it or whatever, they still be around them dudes that do it. And they be knowing. So, when we talk about, again, there's parts of the game, from the pimping, the playing, the macking, that I don't agree with. And I don't do or haven't done regularly. I have my values stand on the player side. Even though I would never be on the tricking side, I could understand why it's so popular right now and the way it is. Can you still survive in this era, in this element as a player? Yes. Without having to spend any money? Absolutely, yes. But it's very rare, and again, it's just one of those situations where it's like, you know, the technology has made it a lot easier for dudes to be tricks. There's a lot of game that's still out there that can be learned from dudes where, again, you might need to adjust your method. You don't need to be a trick. You don't need to be a pimp, but you can still navigate through these streets in a way where it ain't trickish. Okay? And as far as this tricking, the one thing that I will tell tricks was what they need to do. Stop being nice to these girls. You the one with the power. If you got the power, use it. Use it in a way where you ain't got all right, you got the money, you know that they for sale. Treat them hoes like they need to be treated. Don't treat them like they nice girls and all that. Then they want the money and they thinking that, like, treat them like them foreigners from Dubai. Treat them like they treat them over there. When them girls fly out to Dubai and be getting pissed and shitted on and be human toilets, and they come back degraded and they regret doing it, treat them like that. Because if the ones they really about their money, they going to keep coming back no matter how they feel. So stop acting like stop treating them like you their boyfriend and they husband and all that stuff or whatever. At the end of the day, if it's all about the money, they don't care about you anyway. So why the hell would you care about them? Those my thoughts, man. Honestly, I'm going to put the link in the chat or whatever. Y'all check this interview out. It is very entertaining. Let me know what y'all think. It's been a while since I've really went on the porch and really went in depth for a 35-minute video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, all that nonsense, whoop-de-whoop. You know what my motto is, man. I do this for the show. Well, no, I don't do this for the show. I do this for the know. I always mess it up sometimes. But I do this for the know, not the show. This is for educational purpose, not for no entertainment and just be saying shit just to be saying it. I'm really out here trying to teach and preach. And I pray for these kids to hopefully grow up and not be trick babies that love these women that don't love them. It's your boy King Moses, live from the porch. I'm out of here.